Good morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Wednesday, November 12th, 2014. You can follow us on Twitter at CATEX TV. A magnitude 4.7 earthquake shook Tokyo on Wednesday. This is according to Japan's meteorological agency. It shook office buildings downtown and caused a bit of a stir. People were evacuating apartment buildings. No tsunami warning was issued, and there was no immediate report of any damage. Of course, in March of 2011, the northeastern coast was struck by a 9.0 earthquake. The U.S. Geological Survey has noted that there was another earthquake in Oklahoma again today. This was a 3.5 magnitude quake. It was in Grant County. Also yesterday, there were two other earthquakes in Oklahoma, a 2.5 and another 2.5. Over the past 7 days, the U.S. Geological Survey has recorded 37 Oklahoma earthquakes. During the past 30 days, there have been 145 earthquakes in Oklahoma of at least 2.5 magnitude. That's unbelievable. And one would have to say that it's because of the fracking technique going on to exploit the oil and gas reserves. News from Beijing today, sort of surprising, the United States and China have unveiled ambitious targets to reduce greenhouse gases. President Obama announced that the U.S. would move much faster in cutting pollution, with a goal to reduce by 26% to 28% by 2025 compared with the levels of 2005. Earlier in his presidency, Obama had set a goal to cut emissions by 17% by 2020. The Chinese president, Xi Jinping, was a little less definite. He did say that he set a target for China's emissions to peak by 2030 or earlier if possible. Both leaders, of course, were attending the Asia-Pacific Economic Summit. They have been at loggerheads in recent years over setting global targets, with each saying the other country should bear more responsibility for cutting emissions of gases blamed for heating up the atmosphere. British, American, and Swiss regulators today fined 5 of the world's largest banks a combined $3.3 billion penalty. This is for conspiring to manipulate the foreign exchange currency markets. The banks could still face criminal charges. At issue is the approximately $5.3 trillion traded each day in the foreign exchange market. It's the world's biggest market. The exchange rates are set daily, and traders of the big banks that are being fined, as well as other banks still under investigation, have been accused of rigging the rates so that their own banks could profit. The Financial Conduct Authority in London said that it had fined Union Bank of Switzerland, HSBC, Royal Bank of Scotland, JP Morgan Chase, and Citigroup. There's a reinsurance conference going on in Bermuda right now. And one of the comments that have come out of it in a long interview in today's Royal Gazette by Jonathan Kent in Hamilton is a commentary with a gentleman named Taufik Garib of Standard & Poor's. Mr. Garib said that some reinsurance bosses believe that the industry needs a major catastrophe to thin out a crowded marketplace and reverse the ongoing trend of falling reinsurance prices. Reinsurance rates, of course, have been tumbling in recent times, driven by a lack of catastrophe and an influx of new capital, and Garib expects to see them continue to fall, albeit at a slower rate of decline. According to Mr. Garib, quote, "Some people are looking for a big one. It would harden the market and differentiate between winners and losers. Right now it seems like it's a crowded market. A major catastrophe," he said, "would expose those with lower underwriting standards, notably those who have priced risk too cheaply in the pursuit of market share." This is something that many people have been warning about for some time. Strangely enough, there was a new Bermuda reinsurer formed. Asset manager Crable Capital Management has launched Bermuda reinsurer called Crable Re. The startup will use Crable Capital Management's short-term systematic trading strategy to manage its assets. The asset manager specializes in futures and foreign currency trading and manages about $1.7 billion for institutional clients. It's an unusual time to be entering the market. Just the other day, Neil Eckert, a London figure of some note, announced that he was delaying his own entry into the marketplace because premium prices were simply too low. The U.S. government is apparently receiving daily reports, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, about drones flying near airplanes and helicopters or close to airports. Many of the reports filed with the FAA are by airline pilots, but other pilots, airport officials, and local authorities have often filed the reports. The FAA restricts the use of drones, which could, of course, cause a crash if it collided with a plane or was sucked into an engine. Small drones also aren't usually visible on radar to air traffic controller, particularly if they're made of plastic. According to a former Airline Pilots Association Safety Committee Chairman Rory Kay, quote, "It should not be a matter of luck that keeps an airplane and a drone apart. So far, we've been lucky. If these things are operating in the sky unregulated, unmonitored, and uncontrolled, the possibility of a close proximity event or even a collision has to be of huge concern." No kidding. Jim Williams, who heads the FAA drone office, caused a stir earlier this year when he told a drone industry conference that an airliner nearly collided with a drone over Tallahassee in March. The pilot of the 50-seat Canada Air regional jet reported the camouflage painted drone was at an altitude of about 2,300 feet, or about 5 miles northeast of the Tallahassee airport. The FAA prohibits nearly all commercial uses of drones. So far, the only commercial permits the agency has granted has been to 2 oil companies operating in Alaska, 7 aerial photography companies associated with movie and TV productions, and as we've reported earlier, State Farm is also filing an application for drone permit use because they wish to use drones to survey the storm damage of roofs, especially after catastrophes. Roger Crombie will have an article in the CATEX reports that comes out in the next 10 days on drones. It will be quite interesting and funny to read. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.